Well, a very good evening to you. Thank you for making time for us right here on K24 Evening Edition. Let's kick things off by having a look at what is shaping news tonight.
Let the government look at fiscal consolidation. Let's live within our means.
We have our report ready for tabling.
Scrapping off of the motor vehicle circulation tax, VAT on bread, as well changes in the application of the eco-levy among the changes made in the final Finance Bill 2024 report set to be tabled tomorrow. President William Ruto jets back into the country using Kenya Airways from Switzerland, coming on the back of the public uproar that followed his state visit to the US on a private jet.
Damu ilikuwa ikitoka kwa midomo ya milio mitatu.
And bodies of 3 children from Kimarich Primary School found in a swamp in Iyo Bay, Nandi County, following the mysterious disappearance.
Akifanyiwa kila kitu yenye inahitaji kwa matibabu yake, Jerry maisha yake itarudi normal.
Plus, on Health Beat tonight, we shed the light on the plight of Kenyans seeking medical services abroad, with Teresi and Jerry seeking treatment for her spine in India. K24 Evening Edition begins right now. I'm Alan Owino. Our sign language interpreter for this session is Clement Muli. Now, the National Treasury has suffered a blow in its quest to the Finance Bill of 2024-2025 budget after the Finance Committee of the National Assembly scrapped off the targeted 58 billion collection through the 2.5% motor vehicle circulation tax, 16% VAT on bread, as well as redefining application of the eco-levy, which will now be only on finished imported goods. Our reporter Joel Chacha has exclusively seen the report of the committee, which has also thrown out the proposal that KRA be allowed to snoop M-Pesa and bank accounts of Kenyans. Take a look.
Days after completion of the public participation exercise on the Finance Bill 2024, the Finance Committee, which had retreated in Naivasha, is now ready to table the most awaited report in Parliament on Tuesday.
We have our report ready for tabling.
K24 TV has exclusively seen the report, which now appears to incorporate views of Kenyans and stakeholders.
You know that the things that are being passed
on the contentious motor vehicle circulation tax of 2.5%, the committee says that it does not qualify to be classified as an income tax based on the definition of the Tax Procedures Act. It fears that should it be adopted, it would attract litigation, as vehicles cannot be considered as income but wealth. The committee proposes that should Treasury consider reintroducing the levy, it should base the rates on the engine capacity and emission levels and not the value of the vehicle through evaluation. On the alternative proposal to increase the road maintenance levy, with Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen pushing the increase by 7 shillings per litre of fuel, the committee has rejected using the Finance Bill to introduce the changes. It proposes that it's only possible through the amendment of the Kenya Roads Board Act, which is mandated to manage the funds.
tafadhali, hii kitu ni ya muhimu sana.
The proposal to impose a 16% VAT on bread has been shot down, meaning that the commodity will remain zero-rated, considering the demographic consumption of bread as basic but not a primary staple food. On the eco-levy, which was decried by manufacturers as double taxation, the report now says that only imported finished goods will be subjected to it, and not imported raw materials for local manufacturing. The committee also reviewed the proposal to enable the Kenya Revenue Authority to access bank and M-Pesa accounts of Kenyans by being exempted from the stipulations of the Data Protection Act. This has been dismissed, with the committee saying that KRA should have a meeting with the Data Protection Commission led by Irene Kasait to establish a law governing the access, as in the case for the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Despite the Finance Bill 2024 being amended by the committee, a section of MPs have still vowed to shoot it down if the amendments will not sail through.
Mimi nitapeleka amendments zangu bunge, niko na amendments kama 13, zisipokubalika katika bunge, mimi nitavote no.
Parliament here will be bought, will be given money by the president, but we will stand our ground. We will fight for Kenyans because that is the right thing that we should be doing. So whether they shoot it down or not, we will stand and be counted as the few. I will stand and be counted as one of the few members of parliament who stood with Kenya.
I would say I've gone through public participation with the people of K24 TV. Their word is just one, that if they do not change, yes, we have to say no.
The amendment of the money bill, which seeks to finance the 2024-2025 budget with over 300 billion Kenya shillings, now gives the National Treasury a new headache on how to fund the rise in deficit.
We are being ambitious. Let us let the government look at fiscal consolidation. Let's live within our means. I think that's why we need to start. Because globally, even the global economy is not improving.
For those who want to say that their constituents who elected them do not want any development, they should stand up in parliament and boldly proclaim it. This masquerading that I want development and the development comes at a cost, but I do not care where the money comes from, is a luxury that the parliamentarians do not enjoy.
Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Well, just a few days after the reading of the 2024-2025 budget and 3 days to the voting of the Finance Bill 2024, disgruntled Kenyans are now mobilizing themselves under the Reject Finance Bill hashtag before holding demonstrations tomorrow dubbed Occupy Parliament during the tabling of the bill. Bentura Kwamboka brings us the latest as Kenyans get ready to protest proposed taxes in the Finance Bill 2024 that they have since termed as punitive.
MPs prepare to vote for the finance bill on Thursday. Civilians are set to demonstrate within Parliament buildings tomorrow against what they term as punitive taxes in the bill in a protest dubbed Occupy Parliament. Through a social media post, human rights activist Boniface Mwangi has been rallying Kenyans to mobilize and hold a peaceful protest outside Parliament against overtaxation.
Building. Tuambie mkinge kwa hiyo bunge, you vote the way people want. Huo Ruto ende angalia budget yake, aseme kitu ambayo anataka to reduce. Hii nchi ni yetu. Nchi si ya Ruto ama mama ya Ruto. This country belongs to all of us. So the sovereign power belongs to the people. Sisi tumepatia Ruto kazi. Na tumesema kamba as taxpayers, you have to listen to our voices because the people's voice is the voice of God. So Kenyans, be on the right side of history. On Tuesday, come and stand here outside and watch them vote. Watch them vote. Watch them decide, is Ruto greater or the people of this country? Na kutuma tu nakwambia ambia kome, wabunge, amuniski, but on Tuesday, we shall be here. Tuesday!
Kenyans are now mobilizing and rallying others through social media pages under the hashtag Reject the Finance Bill 2024. In a post on X, one user says, "Power belongs to the people. Let's move the noise from social media and take it to the ground where it matters." Another user in the space, in an effort to mobilize citizens, says that on Tuesday, we keep vigil at Parliament to babysit leaders we elected as their representatives to hashtag Reject Finance Bill 2024. With the unfolding of events, the police leadership has convened a multi-agency team meeting to strategize the way forward on how to handle protesters outside Parliament come tomorrow. Last week, during the budget reading, pressure was mounted on legislatures from citizens through text messages to outrightly reject the finance bill after their personal contacts were shared to the public, with Mumias East Member of Parliament Peter Selassie, among others, feeling the heat of the campaign, admitting that his phone was blowing up with messages and phone calls urging him to vote no for the bill. In 2013, Kenyans staged a public outrage and laid siege outside Parliament, parading tens of pigs and poured blood on pavements in a protest dubbed Occupy Parliament, to protest against a bill that was intended to give a pay rise to lawmakers. Come 2020, there was another aborted Occupy Parliament march by the Law Society of Kenya to force the dissolution of Parliament after the then Chief Justice David Maraga called for its dissolution over failure to enact the two-third gender rule. A survey released by InfoTrack earlier this month indicated that 2/3 of Kenyans are opposed to the finance bill. Among the contentious issues, including the imposition of 16% VAT on basic commodities like bread and VAT on financial transactions, which was rejected by 87% of Kenyans. 81% of Kenyans also rejected the motor vehicle circulation tax, while 83% opposed the proposal to disclose personal data by data controllers and processors for taxation purposes. Bentura Kwamboka, K24, Nairobi.
President William Ruto landed in Nairobi Monday morning after concluding his visit to Italy and Switzerland, where he participated in the G7 summit and the inaugural Ukraine Peace Summit, respectively. However, the president's choice to use the national carrier, Kenya Airways, did not escape the attention of Kenyans on social media after the uproar that followed his state visit to the U.S. on an expensive private jet. But as Timothy Simon now reports, the head of state would only opt for the national carrier for his return trip.
Thursday evening, President William Ruto jetted out of the country quite literally for the G7 meeting in Italy. Ruto flew aboard an Embraer EMB 135BJ Legacy 600 registration VTCMR, a private jet chartered from BSR Ventures, an aviation consultancy company based in New Delhi, India. His trip coming a few hours after Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u presented the country's budget to the National Assembly, in which the CS went heavy on the adoption of austerity measures. While in Italy, President Ruto called for increased support for Africa's development agenda by initiating institutional reforms of international financial structures to foster equity and inclusion. The president would later proceed to Switzerland for Ukraine Peace Summit, after which he flew in a private jet from Zurich to Paris, France, before boarding the national aircraft bound for Nairobi. Hot on the heels of his American trip that was faulted by Kenyans for extravagance amid a biting economy, the president came out to defend his choice of flight, shifting explanations notwithstanding. Just last week, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's photos boarding Kenya Airways surfaced online and attracted mixed reactions. It remains to be seen if the latest move by the president and his deputy to use the national carrier is merely an act of calming down the waters using photos and politics at play, or indeed the government is now prepared to walk the talk of austerity. Timothy Simwa, K24 TV.
Operations in all courts countrywide will resume on Wednesday this week after Chief Justice Martha Koome issued a raft of measures aimed at beefing up security in the institutions that administer justice. In a statement, Koome, however, says the death of Principal Magistrate Monica Kivuti was last week in the line of duty at Madaraka Law Courts will not be in vain. This even as President William Ruto joined other Kenyans in condemning attacks and threats meted on judicial officers. Electa Nodera with that report.
The unfoldings of last week's attack on Makadara Law Court's Magistrate Monica Kivuti that left her dead continue to attract nationwide condemnation. That the slain judicial officer was shot while executing her judicial duties clearly indicates that there exists security lapses in court premises. This has prompted Chief Justice Martha Koome into action. In a statement today, Koome has announced a raft of measures aimed at ensuring safety of court officers. The CJ has, among others, directed that all judicial services will no longer be rendered in makeshift structures. She, however, faulted the executive and parliament for failing to allocate enough resources to upgrade court structures. Koome has further asked judges to take advantage of virtual courts and secured permanent courts. Koome also directed that Tuesday be designated as the Judiciary Day of Mourning, Remembrance and Prayers for Kivuti. Through his ex-handle, President William Ruto condemned the attack, directing the police to guarantee the security of judiciary officers. What happened to Honorable Kivuti is unacceptable. It should never happen again, read part of the statement. Police boss Japhet Koome, in a statement, has further assured of the security and safety of judicial staff while discharging their mandate. However, all court operations will now resume on Wednesday this week, contrary to an earlier go-slow notice given by judges and magistrates to grind to a halt the wheels of justice for the entire week. This is in protest of poor working conditions. Magistrate Kivuti met her death after succumbing to gunshot wounds inflicted by a police officer at Makadara Law Courts in Nairobi. Elsewhere, police in Kamolo, Nairobi County, have arrested a prime suspect behind a car syndicate deal and recovered 5 stolen vehicles. Salesio Njagi Kiura was arrested following an investigation into a car theft report at Nairobi's Umoja Inako Estate. Election Odera, K24 TV.
Well, that report by Electine brings us to a fast break right here on K24 Evening Edition. We'll be back with more updates in a short while.